But our expectation is that there will be money coming to the cities and towns precisely for that chore.
Well, the expectation is that most of it's gonna come from money that was spent. It's gonna be reimbursement for money that was spent. There may not be money, just a chunk of money to come down and do it. They're gonna have to spend something to get money.
So the town is still going to have to spend money.
Probably gonna have to spend some.
Is that reimbursement?
Well, we don't know. We're gonna find out tomorrow if we're still covered, because now all the snow is gone. So that's the stuff that we're gonna find out tomorrow. We weren't able to have these conversations until now, because the cities and towns are saying, okay, now that everything's uncovered, now our real cleanup comes. We can stop, tearing down trees that had ice on it. Now we're gonna start picking up people's yards.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Is there a difference between what's on, say, public property and what's on residential property? Would there be?
There could be. There very well could be, but we won't know that yet. A lot of people they've been told to go through the insurance companies first, and a lot of insurance companies have been paying out the maximum, whatever they call it, tree removal, because they know. And some companies have been hesitant to say, do you have to do it that way?
Our selectmen had a conversation a while back about if they were going to take care of some of the branches on the residential property, they probably have to take it to town meeting and see if people want to pay for it.
Probably. When it comes to private property, that's apt, because there was some kind of rumor going around that they could call the EOC and get money to get things taken away in their yards, and we were told point blank, you have to call your insurance company first. And now, I mean, some of the people, I know in Sterling it's much more evident. Some of the people that in my family, who live in Leominster, and our backyards are further down by the pump. We didn't even know how much damage there was until like a week and a half ago. So now that process is starting. So people have to call their insurance company to make sure first that they can't be covered. But yes, if the city starts cleaning off, if the city starts cleaning off people's yards, then you're getting into territory where you may not be reimbursed for everything.
So is there any chance that the DCR could be convinced to extend the burning season? I know they allowed it to start earlier. I'm just thinking on my property, I burn in a pile of brush every week or every other week, and I'm not sure I'm going to be done by the middle of April or.
I think it's the fire marshal that's going to have to decide that. It's the fire marshal that's going to have to decide that. But we can ask them. We don't know what they're going to. I think they're worried about drought conditions at this point. But we know they started it early just for that reason. We can ask the fire marshal.
We have some representatives from the Sterling Council on Aging.
Yes.
Here. I think I'd like to ask you, what is the impact to the older citizens of the income budget? What do we see?
The same impact that we're going to see for everybody. It's going to be absolutely awful. There's no other way to say it, is that you take a look at the governor's budget, and quite frankly, if we, as a legislature, we would always look at the governor's budget. I mean, I think I said when I was here before, we used to use it sort of as a doorstop and say, okay, this is his proposal. The governor did his proposal at a time when we had more revenue. We've now dropped revenue since he did his proposal. February we came in $90 million under the projections. March has to come in stronger. April with the income tax, if we don't get a lot more revenue, we're going to be funding at levels below the governor. And that's not usually the case. Usually what's happened in the past is the House and Senate and the governor have come to what they call consensus revenue, which is that one number that your cities and towns are looking for, that we're all going to fund our budgets at. We don't even know if the House and Senate are going to have the same number because of the revenue. There's just that much discrepancy between the months. We are faced with, you're probably going to see in the House, from what I'm being told, less line items, which is not always better. I mean, I'm a big fan of line items and earmarks. I think it's a directive. It tells people where the money has to go. The governors obviously like less line items because they can move the money around their agencies. We may see less line items because we don't have the money. We have a revenue problem in the state. It's not a spending problem, as everyone perceives it to be. We have a revenue problem.
So the stimulus will offset some of the losses?
The stimulus may offset some of the losses. It's going to, you got, 3.5 billion for safety net programs. They haven't told us what safety net is. They haven't told us what the safety net is. We have 1.9 billion for education, but that has to go between early ed and higher ed. So do you fund phase, year 4 of the 5-year plan, or do you fund some of it and give to higher ed? And the stimulus package, while it sounds great on paper, is coming down with very few regulations and details at this point. Nothing is set in stone. The governor announced the 166 school districts the other day that we're going to get money into the stimulus project, under the stimulus plan. That's only if his budget passes. If we have different numbers in the House and Senate, those 166 districts may not still be the 166 districts you're going to see getting the money. That's if his plan passes. And so the fact that we have such a breakdown of money in our revenue, sales tax is down. We all know no one's buying. No one thinks they're going to have a job in 6 months, so they're not going out to spend lots of money. Massachusetts relies heavily on capital gains. Nobody's making money on the houses. We're lucky people are in foreclosure at this point. Income tax, we're going to see what happens because of the high unemployment rate. Who's paying what for income tax? And that's not going to come down till April.
Any good news?
Spring's coming.
Promise?
Not today.
No, because yesterday was 50 and today, I don't know.
I don't want to beat a dead horse,
Go ahead.
but in this letter of the 28th, as I understand it,
Yep.
the governor said, accept this or you get no state revenue.
No.
Was that in there?
Probably. I don't remember the letter word for word. I know that, he's also saying 19 cents or nothing on the gas tax.
So this is a kind of pattern of this guy?
We've been told that he won't accept a sales tax increase, like a penny on the sales tax or a percentage of the sales tax. He won't accept income tax increase in anything but 19 cents. So he knows the plan he wants, but we don't have a huge appetite for that.
What's his support in the legislature for this type of governing and for these types of programs?
There's a lot of stress going on. We all know we need programs. We all know that we don't want, the elderly to fall through the cracks because we're talking about lives. We're talking about humans. I was up at Gamma today in Gardner, and you had some of those vulnerable people creating boxes for a company, and that was their job. If they lose their contract, they lose funding, where do these people go to hone in on their skills? And how far backwards does that bring them? As the chairman of mental health and substance abuse, the vulnerable populations and the elder committee and the disabilities and persons and families and all that, I deal with all of the vulnerable populations. How much further can they take a hit? Health and Human Services is 47% of our budget. They're the first to be hit. They're the first. And they're always going to be the first. They're always going to be the first because it's the biggest chunk. And that's why, I can't understand the stimulus package. Why are we getting 71.7 million for public safety? The least amount of money is going to public safety. What are the first things that is happening to cities and towns? Their public safety is being laid off. Who's going to come to your house if it's on fire? Who's going to respond to that call if there's a domestic violence problem? We all know on Beacon Hill that domestic violence issues are up because people are losing their jobs. Substance abusers are having a difficult time getting their substances because they're a lack of money and they're taking it out on other people. So it's a difficult concept to think of where the governor's coming from. Personally, with my background in mental health, I would like for him to have someone clinical next to him who's saying, hey, listen, this is what's going to happen. These people aren't just numbers, like there are actual people